with that, I see both Joe and Mitchell are in. So I'll give you a little bit of background. So during my presentation, we talked about LeaseGuard, kind of why I made the switch. It's a product I knew about almost a year before. Joe had kind of approached me, and I kind of said, I think I'm good for now. I really like what I'm getting from Obligo and Rhino. I ran into Mitchell, and between the two of them, we started having conversations when I started to see some of the hurdles with Rhino. Learned a little bit more about the tenant liability policy, and then signed on. So it was a busy last quarter of the year with a bunch of technology changes and different things. So it's a product I'm super stoked about, um, and what it'll allow, what it does for our tenants, and then what it does for you guys to be able to protect your investments. So with that, I will turn it over to Joe and Mitchell.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks for that. And two, just put up a little plug in with Ben. I've worked with him personally. Great guy, great to work with, great to sit down with. And I'm thanks, Ben, for that shout out. Yeah, let me share my screen really quick. Oh, let's see here. See if I can figure this out. Perfect. Yeah. So as Derek was saying, our product, it's LeaseGuard is the overarching carrier or product, where we have two different products. We have a security deposit eliminator and a tenant legal liability. And just to give you a little bit of background, LeaseGuard has been around for over 10 years. It actually started over in Europe, where the product took off, and so they moved it here to the United States, and we have the pleasure of selling this product. It is backed by an A-rated carrier and by one of the largest reinsurance companies. So it's here to stay. Great product. We've seen a lot of success there. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, one thing I would say is it's really took traction in Europe. Europe was the first test market for this product. And at a very high level, the product is it's a security deposit replacement, right? And we'll get into that in a little bit more, but the need really kind of started in Europe. And so when they rolled it out, it actually came out of I don't know if who's all familiar with all of the different insurance companies around, but Lloyd's of London is the oldest insurance company in the world, and they have some different syndicates, they call them, and some different kind of insurers that they work with. And so this is actually started with one of their carrier partners named Hamilton. So they rolled it out in Europe, saw a ton of success, alleviated a ton of pain for tenants and renters over there. And then our US counterparts got hold of it, and it's been catching on and doing really well, spreading like wildfire. One more thing I'll say, Mitchell, and then I'll get back to you, is the reason why we have started implementing it and seeing a lot of traction as of late is due to some different state legislation and ruling coming down the pike. And so we know there's some different jurisdictions out there that require property managers and landlords. Now we're seeing in essentially the wording is coming down from the pike is that there's a requirement to offer renters or tenants an alternative to a security or a cash deposit. And so because of that, the product was kind of primed to come forward, and it's been something that's been growing, and we'll get into a little bit more of that. But I just wanted to make sure that we kind of cleared the way on that one.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. And I think too, I know that a lot of you owners, and I know Derek for sure, the laws are becoming more and more tenant friendly. And these products help alleviate that stress on property owners because those laws are so tenant friendly. So to hop into it, I'm going to first talk about some of the perks, why people are using this security deposit alternative or eliminator. One of the biggest ones is, when you come to a tenant, a lot of the times you're asking for a 1x the rent, which, just for an example, $1,500 rent, you're asking for a $1,500 security deposit, which you only have that $1,500 to use if there is any damages, skip rent, those sort of things. With this product, and again, this is I need to get this out. This is an insurance product. It's not a bond or a guarantor that there are out in the market. This is an insurance product. So going back, coverage can be purchased up to 3x the monthly rent. So on that example of $1,500, you can have up to $4,500 in coverage. So you're not capped at that $1,500 in that security deposit. Another perk of this is there's quick and convenient claims processes. If there is a claim that needs to be filed, if there's tenant damages, it's as easy as a quick picture, and money is returned within 72 hours. So this makes this really simple and leads into the next point of increased tenant satisfaction and reviews. The tenants don't even know claims are being filed, and that's alleviating too, having their security deposit being withheld, a portion of that, which we're seeing on a lot of the property managers we work with, that a lot of the bad Google reviews come from security deposit withholding. They don't think it's fair, whatever that is. So this product alleviates that. And it's also a marketing advantage. We know with the market, the way the world is, a lot of people don't have $3,000 to come up with to get into a unit. So this is alleviating that. And I'm going to get into how this is rated here in a second. You can see how this is going to break some of those barriers. As far as advantages go, Joe, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
One thing I would say to this is the property manager, the landlord. I mean, the nice thing about this insurance program is it gives you guys control. So in the example Derek mentioned, as we were starting up here, that he had tried Rhino in the past, Obligo in the past, and some other products. Those essentially are good, and they fulfill a purpose, but what you're doing is you're essentially giving control to the tenant. And so the tenant deals with Rhino, or the tenant deals with Obligo, and there's been a lot of issues with collections and trying to get those things trued up and paid. With us, because it's an insurance policy, the named insured on the policy would be Net Gain Property Management. So the nice thing is it gives Derek complete control. He has 100% complete autonomy. It's not a product that you have to force on everybody. It might not be a fit for everybody, which is okay, but it allows your tenants to opt in or opt out. And so having a little bit more flexibility up front, what we've been able to see is about 7 out of 10 or 70% of all tenants who are given the opportunity end up taking this as an alternative, just due to the fact that it's a little bit less of a burden financially up front, and it's been helpful to get them in units.
No, thank you, Joe. And that leads into this next point. This is kind of how it's rated. The pricing is based upon monthly rent. So here, for example, I have $1,250 in monthly rent, and this is actually the rater that Derek has. So for Derek, him and his leasing agents have this rater, and they have the autonomy, like Joe was saying, to choose, is this tenant one that we have full faith in? They're going to treat this place nice. Okay, we'll just charge them. We'll purchase that coverage, or have them purchase that coverage of only 1x the rent. And again, this is a pass-through cost. So premiums aren't paid by Derek or by owners. This is a pass-through cost to the tenant. It's tied to the rent. If the rent is $1,250 a month, they purchase 1x the rent. It's $26 added to that $1,250. That's what they're paying in monthly for this. And again, all the way up, coverage can be purchased up to 3x, which, trying to move my little box, which is only $61 a month. So for tenants, it's breaking barriers where instead of having to pay that 1x upfront and first month's rent, they're paying $26 up to $61 extra a month. And this is purchasing that coverage. And to kind of show what is covered when they purchase this coverage, our carrier takes pride in how simple their forms are. They didn't want to make this complicated. And so this is how the policy reads, is that, yeah, that what's covered as accidental physical damage, unpaid rent, and all other causes of loss as permitted by jurisdictional deposit recovery. So essentially, this product is covering anything that you can legally withhold from a security deposit. So this eliminates the back and forth. Is this covered? Is it not covered? Now, there are some exclusions like normal wear and tear, which you really can't pull from a security deposit. So this is really as basic as it gets. And Joe, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Nope, that's pretty straightforward.
Perfect. And we have a section at the end where to ask questions. So if you have any questions, please, yeah, at the end we'll get to those. As far as a security deposit alternative, it's a very basic cover or product. It's as simple as it gets right here. So we'll move on to the tenant legal liability, and Joe will take this one.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. So tenant legal liability, go ahead and hit the next slide. So basically, what we're talking about is a liability policy. And I'm sure you guys have all heard of something, or maybe you've implemented something similar to this in the past. But basically, the reason why I like this is because the renter is essentially becoming more responsible for your property, right? For your door, for your unit, however we want to call it. And the nice thing is it's another pass-through cost that we can have when we talk about putting skin in the game, we can have the renters actually pay for this. And the way that it works is our policies provide up to $300,000 in liability coverage. So for example, let's say you have a multi-family fourplex or a multi-family, there's an apartment building or whatever, you have several tenants in the same building. Hypothetically, if there was a flood, let's say, one of the tenants, there was a bathroom issue, they left the toilet either backed up, or there was an issue with bathtub that overflowed, whatever it is, it ends up flooding not only their unit, but it might cause damages and flood out somebody from the other unit. We're talking about a liability product that would cover the contents, the actual damages to the property itself. So, but the thing that we like about it is we're not having to come to Derek, we're not having to come to the owner and say, hey, bad news, we have to file this claim, your tenant destroyed, there was flood damage, fire damage, smoke, whatever, there was damages to the unit. Now we have to file a claim on your personal homeowner's policy, which means your rates are going to go up potentially, which means you have a bad track record with your carrier, which is going to negatively impact your personal insurance policy. So what we're doing is we're displacing that, and we're saying that the tenant now becomes liable for the damages that he or she causes, right? And so in a perfect world, that's how we see things, is let's make the responsible party essentially responsible for the damages, right? So the nice thing is by having a policy that triggers and reacts this way, we can not only help you guys cover your properties appropriately, but we can not negatively impact your own policy. So some things that it covers, like I said, it covers up to $300,000 in liability coverage, and that's going to be a per apartment, per door, per home, per unit limit. It also protects against tenant contents and displacement. So in the example that I gave, if there's a flood or overflowing of a bath or something that causes maybe the lower unit is displaced due to the negligence of the renter upstairs. Well, if they are displaced, there's coverage in this policy that allows them to go and get a hotel, motel for, I think it's $1,000 total. So, obviously ample time to get in there and get things fixed, and hopefully, and it gives you guys as the property manager and ownership team enough time to get that in, get it fixed, get it rebuilt, whatever needs to happen to get that unit and get the tenant back in there and get that unit rented appropriately. So obviously we want to talk about peace of mind, knowing that all the units are properly protected. The nice thing is this is kind of built in. And one thing that's a benefit to Derek is all of our insurance programs and products tether rather nicely to his property management software. And so it's on our end, it's easy as just checking a box, right? Does your tenant want it or do they not want it? And like I said, with the prior product, the security deposit replacement, this tenant legal liability insurance program is also an opt-in model, meaning that Derek has the flexibility to either do it one off, onesie twosie, or he can force place this on everybody. However, however you guys want to do it, you guys have that ability to do it. And then the last thing is what we do is we end up helping you track these policies. So Mitchell, if you'll go back a slide, one of the big complaints we get is that when people do have renters policies, there's not a great way for the owner or the property manager in most cases to track that. I'm not saying that's the case today, but if somebody moves in and they let their insurance policy lapse or cancel, it essentially can go in a black hole, and you guys might not know that it has lapsed, right? So what we do from a compliance standpoint is we help you guys track, maintain that record, be able to get a certificate of insurance that shows that yes, your tenants, not only are they compliant, but it provides this amount of coverage, and you guys can, at the end of the day, rest easy knowing that your tenants have not lapsed and have not canceled. And then the other quick bit I forgot to mention on this slide is most over 50%, and this is just basic data that we've pulled, 50% of tenants do not have renters insurance. Some property managers don't make that a requirement. It's kind of crazy in our minds that it's not, but we've seen it time and time again. So something to think about. Go ahead, Mitch, and go back to, wasn't sure if there's another one after this.
No.
But anyways, yeah, this product is even a little bit more simple than the security deposit replacement product. Basically, it's a liability policy for your tenant. It makes them a little bit more responsible. They've got some skin in the game now to where if they damage they damage your stuff, your apartment, your house, that they're actually going to be the one held responsible. Pricing on a policy like this, we didn't actually include it in this slideshow, is extremely affordable. Our prices range from anywhere from $7 to $10 a month typically, and up from there, a little bit higher depending on the value of the rent, the value of the property, and how much liability coverage you actually want to purchase. So very affordable. If I've been a renter before. If somebody came to me and said, hey, in order to get into this, one of our requirements is another $7 a month, probably something I wouldn't have batted an eye at, right? So very affordable. And then it gives you guys as the owners, that feel good at night, right? Sleep easy feeling when you guys are, when you're dealing with these types of situations. So that's essentially it. Go ahead, Mitch, sorry.
Yeah, no. Oh, Derek,
yeah, real quick, let me jump in. So we've always required the renter's insurance. What this will do is just another option. So we've gone away from the Great American to this with all the same requirements. It has made it easier for us to track, to ensure that the tenants are insured. Luckily, we haven't had to make any claims on it yet. But then the tenants are just $12.50 a month, and it's just added to their tenant ledger to pay, and it's been really, really smooth. So
good.
Great to hear, Derek. And I think too, just to kind of back up a little bit, some of the differences with Great American, Derek, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Great American was just a liability policy, but this also gives the tenants a little bit more perks. It has the tenant contents and displacement where other products in the market don't have. So this isn't just a peace of mind for you guys, it's also peace of mind for the tenants.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Derek.
I was gonna, that's the big difference, and that was one of the hooks that caused me to switch, because you'd have the tenant upstairs mishook up their washer, flood down their unit. The tenant below is all mad because their stuff got ruined, and it just turns into a big mess. Where with this, should simplify all that because stuff is covered, their stuff's protected, and it'll make things easier as we continue to move forward. So I've been excited about it.
Yeah, one thing I neglected to say, and I apologize, is on tenant content coverage, typically a standard amount there is about $25,000 in contents. And so to your point, Derek, if let's say that washer ends up flooding, and it causes damages not only to the unit where the flood happens, and they've got the tenant has some of their own contents that are ruined and damaged. Let's say it also floods below them, same situation. If both renters are on this policy, then they each have that $25,000 limit of their own personal property while renting from you, right? So that's kind of the bread and butter right there, is the fact that not only you're getting the actual property covered from a liability aspect, but now you're getting their own property, their own contents covered, which is nice as well. So
Great. Well, any questions for us after that spiel?
we know everybody loves talking insurance, as everybody's we put you to sleep, so we won't be offended.
I'll jump in real quick, just because I know as we've been rolling this out and talking with new owners that are looking to add us, and I bring this up, like, it's always been a concern. Because, well, the one question they always ask is, because cash is king, right? And that's 100% what everyone wants. Well, if you don't have it on hand, like, how does that work? And, even with, so we've used Obligo, which we still have access to, because it's integrated with our software. And even with Rhino, it's actually, it's been quick and easy, because like they said, Obligo is a little different, because it still pulls money from their account. But with Rhino stuff on the policy, we had no problem getting the money from them. And with these guys, you'll have no problem getting the money. There was less fights with the tenants, just like they said, which saves us time, money, hassle, belligerence towards staff and me, because we can just make the claim. And as long as it's within that coverage amount, they don't have to worry. We still send the disposition letter. They still get the move out inspection. But being able to use these products and being able to increase your guys' deposits to 1.5 times as a standard, it's made our life easier. With some of the properties, with the increase of costs, just between cleaning and repairs and carpet cleaning, as inflation went through the roof, we've been able to return deposits more than we were before, when it was just one time. With cleaning anymore, you're looking at almost $250 to $300 for, if the property was left decent, to get a cleaner. And if you have $1,000 rent, that's part of your, that's a 30-year deposit, or $1,000 deposit. And then carpet cleaning will be about the same. So now you're $600. That doesn't even include any of the repairs. And so people are all of a sudden like, well, I just, you took it. And I'm like, well, here's the cost. Whereas now with the 1.5 times, the same cost, they're getting more of their deposit back. And people, like, they still will fight over some basic stuff, but we've had less battles over the last years. We've implemented this 1.5 times and using these types of products with our tenants, which is a lot less hassle and less hassle to you, because the overage, while we can work on getting payments from tenants and turning them into collections, that is fronted by you. So if we had $1,000 deposit and $1,400 in repairs, you're fronting the $400 until we can get that payment back from the tenant. And so that's why we started looking at this. And instead of paying $1,500 to move in, they're paying $35 a month. And it's less money coming in, and people are happier. It's a smoother, because there's less money to collect, because we just, boom, here it is, part of your ledger. They just pay that. And it has made life so much easier. And none of you guys on this call know how much money it's kind of saved you, as we've implemented this 1.5 times deposit. So that's, they're awesome, and it's saved. So sorry to interject, guys.
No, thank you, Derek. Thank you.
Glad to help.
Yeah. Any questions? Any other questions? Great. Well, here's our contact information, Joe and Mitch over at Levitt Group. Please give us a call, shoot us an email if you have any additional questions. I know Derek's great to answer questions too, but if you have questions for us, please let us know. Thank you, guys.
One other question, guys. So some of my owners have stuff that they either manage themselves or have got other management companies doing it outside of here where I manage. How would they go about if they wanted to have their properties be able to use the lease guard security deposit? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so there are some requirements for this. So the reason we reach out to property management companies is they have a larger portfolio. So if owners are wanting to do it, you know, as a one-off on their own, they need to have 50 units or more. $1,000 a rent at higher, the carrier can make some exceptions. And so if you are looking and you do have those 50 units, reach out to us. We can work with you. If not, we could talk to your property management firm and work with them, show them the benefits. I mean, to have a salesman sell it's different than having, you know, somebody they're already working with. So we're happy to work with you, with the property management firms. Whatever you'd like. Joe, do you have something to add to that?
No, yep, just reach out to us. We'd be happy to help.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Derek.